Welcome back to Training Wild Burros. We are live and we're doing part 2 today of Your Donkey is Talking. Are you listening? Let us know where you're watching from and if you can hear us. We'll wait a couple seconds here for people to start to hop on. Now, yesterday we talked about how important it is to recognize your donkey's feelings.
Body language.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if you ignore it, you're setting yourself up to get hurt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That body language is very important. And the times that we miss it or think we didn't see it, like when we go back through and watch a video, it was there. There's little tells.
You know, speaking of that, there's so many times where we'll make a video and then I'm watching it and I really think I was doing a great job of offering a good deal and rewarding the try. And then I watch the video and I'm like, what was I thinking?
Wow, I was being cheap.
So watching yourself is super helpful to actually be able to evaluate if you are doing a good job recognizing their body language, giving them space, and just letting them know that you see how they feel. So yesterday I mentioned about how I've been seeing and having some questions about people who are getting bit and kicked by their donkeys, or they have a donkey and they can't halter it and they need to get to those feet. Now, there's no quick fixes for this stuff, guys. Hey, welcome. Let us know where you're watching from and if you can hear us. So there's no quick fixes when you have a donkey who can't get a halter on or you need to get to their feet and they're not ready yet. But we do have ways to help you get through it. Now, recognizing their body language is huge because you need to know, you need to build up their confidence as you're going along. If you're not building up their confidence, then you're making them have a reason not to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the opposite of what we want to do.
Yes, exactly.
So most recently when I was working with the Wild that was nervous, you know, how they want to turn away from you or go to the corner, I step towards their head and look at them. And then as soon as they give me an eye, I'm going to back away. I want to draw them in and get the curiosity. I don't ever want to work with them when they're in the corner.
Right. Yep. That is, when they're in a corner, that's a good time to take a break. Wait for them to turn an eye towards you. Don't try to approach them when they're hiding in a corner. Man, unless this is somebody you know inside and out and they're just sleeping. That's a defensive posture. They don't have nowhere to go, so they're just gonna go pout in the corner. And when they feel cornered, that's when you can get hurt. And that is a body language. I've had enough. I don't know what to do. I'm scared. I'm overwhelmed. And they'll stick their head in that corner. But usually their head will go down a little bit low too. That there's a time that you need to back off and wait for that situation to change.
Now you can help the situation change by their meals, hand feeding them their meals to begin with. So if you're working with them when they haven't ate yet, so at breakfast time, you go get the hay and you bring it in there handful by handful and you offer it to them. You're nose or looking at you and then offer it. You're building up confidence. You're asking a question, will you eat next to me? And that's going to help build up that confidence.
Absolutely. Yep.
I think it also helps draw them towards you because they're interested in food. They're hungry, so they're going to come towards you because they want to eat.
Yep. And a little measuring tape you have of their comfort levels when you draw them to you in the morning. Let's say you're hand feeding them breakfast. While they're eating, if this is an animal whom maybe you've just started touching or you're a few days past first touch, you'll know they're getting more comfortable if you reach out and pet them while they're chewing their hay and they continue to chew.
Oh gosh, absolutely.
But if they stop, they're more interested in, I'm being touched. Is he gonna eat me? Is this okay? What does it mean? So you know you're making progress when, with your newly gentled Wild, if when you reach out and pet those withers, your safe space on him, and they're continuing to chew and don't skip a beat, you're making great progress.
Now, eating while you're working with them, that is self-regulating. So if they're comfortable enough to chew their food, they are learning coping skills. But when they're too nervous to chew their food, they're in freeze mode. Now if we kept petting them and kept petting them while they're in freeze mode, we're gonna say, yeah, you have a reason to be nervous. Now, when I'm working with one, like maybe I'm getting them to eat from my hand, and some hay falls on the ground, right? And then after a little bit of time, they're like, oh, I'm kind of overwhelmed. I think I'm gonna go clean up the hay that fell on the ground. At that time, I'm not gonna follow them around. I'm gonna let them
Yeah.
have 30 seconds or 3 minutes to start to self-regulate.
Right. We got one we're working with today. You can have a fistful of hay and they're munching away and even taking some petting and continuing to eat. But somewhere along the line, I didn't see it. That donkey had had enough and decided to go eat like 4 pieces of hay that had been walked on and peed on the other side of the pen. And it acted like that was, the great, it was like licorice on the ground or something. It just couldn't handle being by me anymore. That was its way of taking a break. I was, I could have been offended and say, "Oh, sweetie, why my hay's better." No, I just let her go. And it didn't take but a few minutes. She's like, "Huh, his stuff was a better deal." And then she turned towards me and came back on in and was engaging again. So I gave her that respect to just let her go do something that in a human's mind might be irrational. Why eat the poopy stuff when you got the good stuff here? But they do that.
Absolutely. And then sometimes they'll start to smell you. And if they start to smell you, do not move your head. Don't do anything. Just stand really, really still. Do not look at them.
Yeah, don't say "good girl" or "oh, you're so precious." No, just like be relaxed and just let them work you over. When you're feeling whiskers on your face as they're sniffing you, they're curious. They're not in a biting mood. You're not likely to get bit. Just let them work you over. Those whiskers, that's how they feel. That's like a child's fingers touching stuff. That's a sign you're making really good progress, that there's more curiosity than fear.
Yes.
And this particular donkey that we're working with today, is a mama's donkey. She has yet. I've worked with her most, but she has yet to sniff my face. Today is the first time MaryJo actually had some serious time to put in with her, and you got a good sniffing.
She worked me over, like the back of my head, her whiskers all over my face, my arms, totally the top of my head. I'm like, I just sit there with my eyes closed, and I tell her that she's tickling me, and I can feel her breath on my face. Like if she wanted to bite my head off, she could. They are so
Right.
strong. But she's being curious. So let them be curious. And then when you talked about don't be like, good girl, our emotions are a huge part. So we're trying to read our donkey's body language, right? So next time you're in there, pay attention to when you say whatever your bridge word is. We use deet. So if I just say deet and then I give the pay, I'm like calm, I'm very monotone. But when I forget, I'm like, good job, right? Then they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, what should I be afraid of?
And
Because
what did
they
I
don't
do? What do
know.
you? Yeah.
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 Is there a mountain lion coming?
Why are you excited? Yeah, they don't understand the human vocabulary. They'll eventually learn vocabulary about like a dog, but early on they don't know what these words mean. Getting excited, that spooks them. That could set you back a few minutes or a little bit longer. So if you feel the need to do a double arm pump because you crossed a milestone, finish your training, give the donkey some room, and then go ahead and do your double arm pump and yeehaw and throw your hat in the air, whatever it is you like to do because you crossed a milestone.
And it's almost the worst thing you can do to do it at the moment. And Stein is who showed me this the most because he was such a reactive horse. He was a Mustang. And, I really wanted to tell him he was going to do it, that he was doing a good job. So I'd be like, good boy. And then his whole body would elevate.
Again. You did just the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of a reward. The opposite. That is actually the opposite of a reward.
So yesterday we talked about the signs of growing stress. So growing stress, when they walk away because they need to take a breather, how long they stay away is going to tell you some of their stress level, because they'll stay away longer as they get more comfortable. The tail being tight or clamped up against their rear, their head, and donkeys don't necessarily raise their head super high like a horse does.
No.
But they're breathing, taking steps back away from you. when they start doing this stuff, don't follow them around. Those are all their subtle signs. When they start to lick and chew, that's a sign of them starting to relax, and that's what we're looking for.
And something you can hear when they blow, when they take a little, like a little walkabout, when they have to go walk around their pen to let off some stress. It's when you hear them blow, that's a wonderful thing.
Oh my gosh, we have one video out there. I think it's with Romeo, and I think it says on the thumbnail something like he blew. I don't remember how many times it was, 12 or
teens,
15.
yeah, umpteen times, yeah.
And that was him really coming down from stress. So he wouldn't do all that blowing while I was in the pen. So I would do his 15 minutes of time with him, and then I would step out. Now he's one that got haltered, where our son thought he was okay to be haltered, but he wasn't okay with it. Scared the gajebers. Then Dan went and took it off. But then it took forever to be able to halter him again. So I went right back to target training, right? So some of you guys out there are really struggling with getting a halter on your donkey. I went back to target training, and he took oats from my hand. So we use rolled or crimped oats. We use Timothy hay pellets, and then low starch grain, or the different things that we use for pay. But every time we would do nose and neck and have the halter coming up over his head and pretending to tie it, all that stuff going through his nose. And I would just keep reverting back to that until he got comfortable enough. With Juliet, I kind of had to corner her a little bit because she had learned to get away. She had learned to avoid it. And that is a behavior about 3 times, close to that 3 times, then you're teaching them that they can get away.
Yep.
So you got to be careful with that.
Yep. And sometimes you're put in a position where, for vetting or for getting their feet worked on, that you're kind of getting a halter on is important. And you go a little bit faster than you'd like to do. Sometimes if you go too fast at halter, yeah, you can get it on once.
Right. Doesn't mean they're trained.
They're clever, and you might think, oh, wow, I can halter this donkey. But if you didn't do it correctly and methodically, it can set you back. We've had that happen a couple of times. The donkey I'm working with today, forced a halter on it recently. I had never seen a halter before. I got it on. Now we're back to, we're going to spend a lot of time getting this donkey to trust a halter again.
Yes. And like with, I don't think she's that bad, but when, not as bad as Juliet. Juliet, we had her for months and months, right? Months and months. And she's the one that she went backwards after we had to have her feet trimmed. But when I was working on getting that halter back on her afterwards, I would go and do all that target training, and she was just kind of indifferent. I knew that she was not a kicker. That was not her go-to response. I have other ones that is their go-to response. They will be like, oh, I'll kick you. Beware. But she was not like that. She was more of a evade to go away. So I kind of cornered her a little bit to get that halter on. And once I did corner her, because I think she was kind of learning how to evade, once I did do that, and then typically I don't put the oats in my hand when I get the noseband on, but I did when I cornered her, and then it was just on and off. So just because I got it on once doesn't mean I'm done. After I got it on, I stood with her like a statue, and then I put it on and off a whole bunch more times. Green lights that your donkey is open to working with you is them leaning or taking a step.
I love the lean.
You.
Yeah, are we like, how are we doing? You're working with whoever, and you're doing a task. You're alongside them, near them, and maybe you're covering some new ground, and you're watching for that body language. And that is something that it is wonderful to see. Watch for it. You'll see it when you say, "Are you ready?" or your magic phrase before you're gonna do something. It is so rewarding when you're gentling one to see them lean in just a little bit. I mean, you're not gonna go to this. But they'll just lean towards you a little bit, give you a little look. You know you're headed in the right direction when you're getting that. Definitely.
Absolutely.
That's yeah.
And when they do that, don't try to take 2 miles of progress. When they are leaning into you, you're still going to approach everything. Like let's say they're leaning in and I'm working on petting the neck. I'm going to pet the neck real quick and then pay them. So don't think that they leaned into you, and let's say you're not haltering them yet. Don't think that you're just going to throw that halter on. By the time you're trying to get that halter on, you want to be very confident that they're going to stand for you the whole time. Now, if you're working with their feet, you got one that like we just talked about the halter, so let's talk about the feet. Movement, what I see from people even that have a general understanding of donkeys or wild donkeys, you need to slow down that movement even more. So if Dan's arm is a leg, I'm gonna come and I'm like, are you ready? And if he's looking away, I'm gonna know he's not ready. But once he looks at me, are you ready? Now I know he's ready. And I'm gonna come up here. I'm always gonna start at the top. And my movements are gonna be soothing movements. Okay, you don't wanna be like this. I was helping our soon-to-be son-in-law with his mule, and she's just 1.5 years old. She's not good with her back feet yet. And what he was doing was fine for her, but I explained to him that if you were working with a wild, you would have to slow that down like 10 times.
Yeah.
Because you need it to be a lot more soothing. Like this mule that we're working with, she likes people. She's just not quite sure that you should be messing around with her back feet.
Right.
And she'll cow kick at you. So I'm helping them work through that. So this stuff works on all equines, but soothing and slow. Now, when we're working with them, like there's some like Atlas that actually surprised me. So he was a rescue and he actually kicked the snot out of our farrier. But Dan and I were able to pick up his feet, no problems. He would be so light, but we always started slow. And when we asked for him to pick him up, anytime we start to feel him get heavy, we would let him have his foot back.
Right.
Before the resistance started. And then he would be like, oh, I guess I can trust you. You're not going to eat me.
Yeah, when we went through the process with Atlas, he was great with his feet for us. It's when a farrier doesn't do what we do and goes straight to that foot. It was a rough day. He earned his pay that day.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You know, and the goal isn't to have an animal that you have to walk on eggshells around or tiptoe around your whole life. This is just in the beginning. You know, you want to.
Well, I need to add in there, this is just the beginning, but when a remodel, so a lot of you guys out there have a remodel project, when they have had a bad experience, it takes a long time to work them through that. Mm-hmm. So you have to really put in your time.
Yep. And with the wilds, when we are pretty calm, soothing, and methodical, the goal is eventually you can be a spazzer on them and you're not going to freak them out. And you can ride them in parades and all that. This going slow and gentle, this is more for trust and a remodeling job donkey like Atlas, or you're just past first touch on your wild donkey. You'll eventually get to be able to where they can handle a lot more erratic behavior and fast moving. And
so, like on that note, wild donkey we brought her home June of 2023. When the farrier comes out, I absolutely want that to be a good experience. She still gets oats for pay when we're working her feet. Mm-hmm. But our farrier is teaching me how to trim. So let's see, he did the trimming and then I was filing. So we would switch. I would hold her and then he would hold her. And then I gave him the oats. I'm like, well, maybe she needs this. And he's like, she didn't. He's like, she didn't care until you gave me the oat pouch. So with them, I'm going to keep using that pay reward until I'm just absolutely confident that they're SCAP, soft, centered, accurate, and punctual. When I ask for their foot, they're okay. They're not leaning. They're not backing up. They just don't care. Mm-hmm. And so then it just gets weaned out. But we're really focusing on laying a good foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might be wearing some training wheels for a while during laying this foundation, but eventually they'll come off.
And if you're working with a remodel, be okay with those training wheels for a very, very long time. Yep. Okay? So those are green lights, leaning in towards you, being really light, being really punctual with what you ask. I got to say with Atlas, I was so surprised at how fast we used a rope to start working with his feet because he really showed he would be willing to kick. And we were always outside of kicking range, but I was really surprised once we started using that rope. We could see how he was going to react. Then we went to our arms. Mm-hmm. And he was like so fast with how good he was. Yep. But he needed that slowness, like the pre-warning that this was coming.
Mm-hmm. He really needed to be front-loaded that what you were going to do next.
Now, if your burro is moving away from the halter, go back to target training because we're just trying to build up that trust and confidence. Now, guys, send me your questions for tomorrow's topic. I haven't looked to see what it is. I forgot to look, guys. But we will be back here again tomorrow at 6:30. And you guys know that I also have memberships. And if you are in a tough situation with your donkey, I had one lady who thought her donkey was attacking her. If you're in a tough situation with your donkey, we're here to help.
Yeah, tell us about it. We'll do our best to answer or give you what we would do in that scenario, and hopefully we can help you out.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, guys. You have an amazing day.